Ok, ok everybody. Hello, bonjour, good morning. Bonjour, bienvenue au premier webinaire General Marketing et General Microwave Milexia France. Merci de votre présence et de votre participation. Je fais juste une toute petite introduction en français et je passe la main à l'équipe de General Microwave. Je suis David Graveway, je suis ingénieur technico-commercial chez Milexia. Merci encore de vous connecter. On va démarrer la session qui devrait durer à peu près une demi-heure. Et puis, il y aura un jeu de questions-réponses en français si vous le désirez, ou directement, vous pouvez interroger les gens de General Microwave. Vous pouvez également utiliser le chat. Pour l'instant, tout le monde est en mute, mais vous pouvez utiliser le chat pour poser des questions pendant la présentation. Je passe la main à General Microwave Israël, donc mon collègue très estimé, Abraham Sheked. Abraham, over to you.
Good morning. My name is Abraham Shaked, and I'm sales manager in General Microwave. Thank you for the opportunity to present you some of our products and capabilities. If you will have any questions, you may ask them while I'm presenting. My colleague, Dr. Ronen Holzman, our VP R&D, is also online, so he will help me to answer questions, the really difficult ones. The simple ones I will respond by myself. Just a little bit about the history. As you can see, General Microwave has been in business for a very long time. We went through various changes. However, although we had these many changes, we keep on supporting all the products of General Microwave over all those years. Not like many other microwave companies like WJ, EEV, Macom, that were in the business, and then they moved to other areas, and they were not supporting their products. We have two sites in Israel. One site is located in Jerusalem. The other one is located in Kibbutz Eyal, which is close to Tel Aviv. Few numbers, number of employees. We have a sales office in the US that can help us in some special sales requirements. I would like to point out, although we are an Israeli company, we have security classification for NATO and for the US. This means that if we have a program that there are classified documents, there is a mechanism to transfer to us the classified documents on government-to-government arrangements. Sales backlog. About the sales, I would like to point out that last year, in spite of the COVID-19 that attacked the entire world, we were able to cope with it very nice. And actually, all our sales, all our commitments to the customers, we achieved them in spite of the COVID environment. Our sales are all over the world. And actually, one of the reasons of the call today is to increase the percentage of sales to Europe. Just to show you a little bit about the company before we go to products, assembly of the production, part of the final testing area, equipment we use for screening, environmental testing. If we go to the products that we make, we have a very wide range of products. This In this meeting, I will review just some of them, but you can see that we cover a very wide range. We'll start with control components that include the switches, attenuators, phase shifters, product lines. General Microwave is one of the pioneers in the development of pin diode control components. And actually, the first pin diode products that were designed by General Microwave, they were using springs from watches because coils were not available. But this is really past history. Today, things are available, but still, General Microwave is a benchmark for quality and performance of control components. Again, I will not go through all the control components. I will point out the phase shifter product line. The phase shifter product line consists of 3 products: phase shifters, IQ vector modulators, and frequency translator. All of them go up to 40 gigahertz, digital control and analog control. A very important feature in this type of products is monotonicity and repeatability. Monotonicity because this type of product should have to be calibrated in the system by the customer as well. And if you want to do digital calibration using software, monotonicity is a very important parameter. And repeatability, once you calibrate it, you want it to stay calibrated for quite a long time. I mentioned we have 3 types of products. A phase shifter, if you don't know the frequency you are operating, it is a wideband unit, and when you give a phase command, a change in phase command, it will change. However, because it's a wideband unit, when we calibrate it, it's calibrated by the factory, we have to optimize along the entire range. This means that at a specific frequency, it probably can be much better in accuracy. So if you know the frequency you are working at, you can use the IQ vector modulator. The IQ vector modulator, the input, you give in an I and Q input, each one of them of 12 bits. By changing it, you change the phase of the phasor and you change the phase of the signal. This way, with good calibration, you can achieve very good change of phase accuracy at a specific frequency. So when you calibrate it for the frequencies you are operating at, you get very fine accuracy. Frequency translator is actually a phase shifter. However, you give it a constant change of the phase. And as you probably know, dphi to dt is actually changing frequency. This way, with the frequency translator, you can have small changes of the carrier frequency. The small changes are in the area in the range, like 20 kilohertz, in this kind of numbers, which are similar to the change that you get due to the Doppler effect when the aircraft is moving. And this is really the main application of the frequency translator to simulate the change of the speed of aircraft, for example. The other product line I would like to review is the frequency sources. In frequency sources, we do synthesizers, direct synthesizers, and indirect synthesizers. In the past, free-running oscillators were very popular. The DTO, digitally tuned oscillators, and VCO. But today, this is all technology, and we keep on only mainly supporting customers that years ago bought this type of product for their systems. So today we emphasize on indirect synthesizers and direct synthesizers. We have a range of products, and I will now go through some of them. The indirect, excuse me, I forgot to shut down my cell phone. The indirect synthesizer was developed by us. In the market, there were the direct synthesizers with settling time of nanosecond, very good performance, unfortunately, very, very high price. On the other side, there were the ink-based synthesizers, oscillators, with good performance, however, very, very slow. You measure the time in milliseconds. So we introduced the indirect synthesizer with a settling time of better than 1 microsecond. You can see here a jump between 218 to 2 gigahertz within less than 1 microsecond. We are in the frequency. We have a range of catalog synthesizer. We call them series SF. They are fast synthesizers going up to 20 gigahertz. And if you use, we have a frequency extender that I will show you later. We can go up to 40 gigahertz. So this is actually a synthesizer that gives you very good performance, accuracy, stability. Drift is determined by the crystal, the reference crystal that you are using. You get the speed of less than 1 microsecond, and the price is reasonable, much, much cheaper than the price of a direct synthesizer. Another advantage, we are not using heaters, so the warm-up is very fast, which is important for airborne modules. That part of the requirement is a fast warm-up time. We realized that the indirect synthesizer we introduced doesn't have modulation capability. In many applications, it is required to modulate the synthesizer. Most of the companies that make synthesizers, when you want to modulate it, they will break the synthesizer loop, and actually it will operate in a free running mode. In our synthesizer, which is series SM synthesizers, we modulate it while it is still in synthesizer mode. You can see the spectrum of 1 gigahertz span of the SM synthesizer. Here too, we have a range of catalog products going up to 20 gigahertz, and with the frequency extender, we can go up to 40 gigahertz. Still, we keep the speed of 1 microsecond for settling. The cost is a little bit higher than the synthesizer without modulation, but still it is much, much cheaper than the direct synthesizer. And obviously, I'm sorry, you cannot modulate directly the direct synthesizer. We realize that although we have a nice product, for some applications, it is still too expensive. So we developed the SW synthesizer. This is also an indirect synthesizer, very cheap, not cheap, low cost synthesizer, also going up to 20 gigahertz. The penalty you pay is in the speed. The speed is about 50 microseconds. It's a very, very small unit compared to the other synthesizers. So we have a range of indirect synthesizers with modulation, without modulation, very low cost, and at reasonable cost. I mentioned earlier we have a frequency extender, so that extends the frequency of the source going up to 40 gigahertz. And as an example, if you take our 2 to 20 gigahertz synthesizer, with the extender, actually you can cover from 0.5 up to 40 gigahertz in this kind of setup. I mentioned the direct synthesizer. Well, you know, the direct synthesizer is actually the Rolls-Royce of synthesizers. But you pay the money of a Rolls-Royce. You have very good settling time, coherency, you have phase coherency with this synthesizer. So when it is required, like in some jamming systems, you have to pay the money for it. This will be always a custom product. We don't have a line of catalog direct synthesizers. It is built per specific customer requirements. I mentioned earlier the DTO, indicatively tuned oscillator. In the past, it was very popular. I would say not only popular, it was probably the only source that people were using in EW systems. But today, it is an obsolete product. And as I said, we keep the line only to support our customers that bought this product in the past. Another product line I would like to bring to your attention is the solid-state power amplifier, SSPA. Today, this is really the main technology of amplifiers being used. In the past, people were using mini-TWT, and now they replace them with the SSPA. Actually, a lot of our work is replacing mini-TWTs in various systems with SSPAs. We started our activity in the SSPA product line in the cellular area. We were making amplifiers for cellular base stations. Actually, Israel in general, there were few companies and we were leaders in the world in amplifiers for base stations. And we were selling every month hundreds of units. Slowly, the market of cellular went to the giant companies. And there is a saying, if you're not an elephant, don't walk in the elephant path. So we moved away from the cellular world of the amplifiers, and we use the technology that we developed to make custom special amplifiers for specific applications. So we are now focusing on challenging requirements, applications like missiles, airborne radars, where you have to meet special size, environmental conditions, and high performance parameters. We focus on X-band is what we have been doing till now. Now we are moving to KU and KA bands. Custom products. Until now, most, as I said, we have a lot of catalog products in control components, in oscillators, but most of our work, I would say about 80% of our sales is actually of custom microwave products. As an example, I will present custom modules that we do for data link. We don't make a data link. Our customer is the system house who makes the data link. We provide him the microwave element of the transceiver of the data link, and there are various examples of data link that we provided them. We give him both the hardware and the firmware of the module. One of the touchy areas in data link is the classified information. There are classified protocols. So what we do to overcome this issue, we make the data link module, and there is space for the customer to put his card with the classified protocol. This way, the product that we give is not classified product, and it makes it easy to handle both for in-country and for export applications. Most of the applications of our data link is for smart munition. And one of the goals of smart munition is fire and forget. However, the way we do business without customer is sell and not forget. We are working very, very close with our customers, and this is especially important in custom product. So we have the procedures of PDR, CDR, FAI, qualification, etc., all this kind of the documents and meetings that we do with the customers. During the COVID, those meetings were using the web, but normally it's face-to-face meetings. Because we are not constrained by the ITA regulation, I didn't mention it, but General Microwave is owned by an American company, but we operate as an Israeli company according to the Israeli export regulations. So our regulations for transferring of documentation is much easier than the ITA restrictions. So when we have a design review with a customer, we are free to share with him all the required information for his system. I will go now to some of the applications. You can see we have a wide range of applications that our products are being used, but in order to keep your attention, we decided this meeting will not be too long, so I will elaborate only on few applications. We'll go to EW, electronic warfare. You know, there is a problem. I've been in the Israeli Air Force as an electronic engineer for many, many years, and I retired from the Air Force. And even after I retired, I stayed in my reserve in the Air Force. So the problem is, what I really know about using this type of equipment, I cannot tell you. What I don't know, you don't want to hear. So there is a problem. So I will try to stay on a higher level, and if there will be questions, Ronen and I will try to respond. If a question will be too touchy, we'll say, sorry, move to the other question, and I hope you will bear it with us. So the products we support for electronic warfare divide for active and passive, RWR, ESM, for the jamming part, and for a complete electronic warfare suite. So if we look on the passive elements of the EW system, we provide various oscillators, switch filter banks, frequency converters, and the RF front end. RF front end, most of the applications of our EW products are for airborne applications, and the antennas are located at the ends of the wings and the And because of the long line or distance, I'm sorry, between the head of the wing to the main processing unit that is located somewhere here, to take care of the to keep the signal to noise ratio, you put an amplifier here. However, in EW systems, the RF front end is not just an amplifier. Based on the architecture of the system, the RF front end has to do more functions. Those functions are proprietary of the system, and I would prefer not to elaborate here. All I can say, it is not just an amplifier. It is a very, very complicated microwave element with a lot of technical restrictions. On top of these technical restrictions, because of the location, at the end of the wingtips, the vibration is very, very difficult. And the temperature changes are also very, very high because there is no cooling here. So the requirement for the RF front end in an airborne EW system are very complicated. And we delivered many, many hundreds of this type of modules. If we go to the jamming part, again, sources, normally it will be a synthesizer, typically a direct synthesizer. Now we start to provide SSPAs for the jamming part that in the past were mini TWTs, frequency converter, and custom integrated microwave assemblies based on the specific design of the system. For decoys, the same kind of products, an oscillator, an amplifier, and custom microwave assemblies. If we look on a typical EW suit for an airborne application that has both the jamming and the passive elements, many of the elements here have microwave, and we support all of these microwave subassemblies. Another big customer of our microwave products is the simulator. Naturally, not the software simulator. If you go to a simulator, probably more than 50% of the simulator is microwave. Excuse me. It includes sources, control components, amplifier control module, I will review it in a moment, which is some kind of an attenuator, and integrated microwave assemblies. Sources, in the past, it was DTO and FLO. FLO, frequency locked oscillator, which is a free running source, but with some locking to improve the accuracy. But today it is the synthesizers. And actually, the fast indirect synthesizer with modulation, our SM series, one of the main applications is for simulators. Control components, phase shifters, attenuators, and switches. Mainly, normally a simulator will have a lot of attenuators. One of the problems is with attenuators, you want to have a wide dynamic range. However, the pin diode attenuator, the harmonics are not so good. So we designed this amplitude control module, which is used in simulators. This gives you a dynamic range of 100 dB and harmonics of minus 60 dB. This way, you can control the path of the simulated aircraft and still keep very low harmonics, not to interfere with the operation of the simulator. We can provide the same module with the phase control by adding phase shifter This way you can control both the amplitude and you have a 360 degrees control of the phase. Depends on the design of the simulator, how is controlling the path of the simulated aircraft. For radars, airborne radars, the ESA, active electronically scanned array antenna. For this type of radar, we provide both high power phase shifters and the SSPA to control it. Actually, this is in very short some of typical applications, typical products that we make. And as I said, this is only part of it. We cover probably most of the microwave components that one can need. Today, it is getting more and more in today's world, it is the offset. When you make a sale, international sale, there are offset requirements by the country. I specified India here because India today is one of the biggest markets that is buying military equipment. And we have in India set up for maintaining offset requirements. We are now in the phase of building our own company in India in order to be able to get even better service in offset, to do direct offset for our customers. So if our customer, a system house, has an export to India or to any other country, we will be willing to take on ourselves the offset obligation as part of our commitment to the size of the program that we are getting. But even more, if the customer has an offset requirement and there is a microwave element that we did not design it, but he had somebody else, and he wants us to help him in the offset, we will be willing to take on ourselves and make the offset, and the microwave element will be not built to spec, but built to print, and we will take the responsibility to transfer it to the customer in India. If you don't have any questions, I will pass it over to David. And again, thank you for the opportunity you gave me to present it to you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Abraham. Very good presentation.